AI has boomed massively in the last 4 to 5 years, and its coverage within media we consume has massively grown. But how does it affect gaming? Today we're going to break that down and see. But to start with, we need to look at what enables it and develops it. Now, keep in mind, we're going to be covering a pretty big topic, so if you're not up to date on this stuff, then I suggest you do your own research, as making your own opinion is the most important thing on AI and not really following the herd. So let's look at the beginning with the fundamentals. Artificial intelligence was nothing more than a sci-fi dream until Alexa and Siri practically came along. And from there, as a society, we basically integrated them into our lives as tools, and that word is very much key here. We ask them for the weather, reminders, timers, and to call people when we're too lazy to press the button on the screen ourselves. And for a decade, it was all we knew, but in the last few years, leading up past COVID, that's 2020, AI has driven up a massive market, so much that big companies are making moves not only to improve its current design, but to incorporate it into the media we now actually consume. Movie directors are debating on its use as a tool, and again, that's the keyword because we're going to look a little deeper here. Nvidia and Dell have recently been developing the technology to push it forward, and Nvidia, first of all, they caused the massive RAM price to soar last year because they've been mass buying it with Google to fill everything out, and we'll cover that in a second. But secondly, Dell is massive purely because if you were paying attention to stocks and technology this year alone, you'll notice that they got a 5-year defense budget from the Pentagon for $9.7 billion, which alone is staggering. It doesn't correlate with AI whatsoever. But I thought it'd be important to mention, considering the fact that this is humongous for them, and this is the biggest they've ever actually got. And if you've been watching as well, like I said, for stocks, you'll see that Dell has dramatically improved in the last few years, causing a massive growth on their and price hike on their stock. The collaboration with Nvidia on developing new AI technology is massive, and within half a decade, this could probably change a lot of what we know and use. Because if you look at what we used to use a decade ago compared to now, things have really changed. The landscape is completely and wholly different. And we're going to go further with this because we're going to look at Microsoft, Google, Apple, X or Twitter, Meta, and even Amazon. Because they're experimenting and making and testing AI new and consistently. And Bezos himself even funding data centers across the world, which has caused uproar domestically and environmentally with droughts, dust clouds, homes with no water, and consistent and constant and persistent noise. But how does AI correlate with gaming? When the RAM shortage came just last year, there were endless discussions on whether it's still worth buying a PC, is it even worth diving into having a PC, but that was only because it was due to the panic of being unable to buy top shelf RAM. Now, I myself had to replace my RAM last year due to one of them failing, and when I did eventually upgrade it, it was only the cost of £30 to do so. Now, mind you, there will be those who tell you this is the end of the cheaper or affordable PCs right now. But the unit I purchased only a few years ago didn't exactly break the bank for me. I ended up upgrading from a 1080 Ti graphics to a 4070, which is the equivalent of putting on glasses for a blind man. My laptop was slowing down, it couldn't keep up, but I wasn't out to spend nearly £10,000 on a new computer alone, because that would be stupid and staggering. I spent only two, which really wasn't too bad, and I got the upgrade I was really much in dire need for. But what is RAM exactly useful in correlation with AI? Well, I'm actually kind of glad you asked. It's rather simple. The more RAM you have, the more the AI can actually do, which is why they're buying so much of it. They need all the extra power, and plus the centers, which can really push the boundaries on what it can really achieve. I just wish, like many others, it wasn't in a place that causes public outrage or environmental issues. I'm all for pushing the limits of what technology can achieve for us as a species, but when it damages something or someone, then it becomes a problem. Then there's the focus of what I really wanted to talk to you guys about. When AI is used in a generative sense, or as a tool, you don't look at it as a harmful program. It's mainly used to cut corners, lower the costs, increase efficiency, but on the other hand, it eliminates a human element and component that's always needed when it comes to the development of a game. I'm yet to see AI used for art or conceptualization for a game, but it's not far off from doing that just quite yet. Because back in 2018, Photoshop's AI pollution was little to none, it was hardly ever there. But by 2022, unless you really dig into your account settings, you'd find the option for AI to use your art automatically on. And now in 2026, if you can't run Adobe Photoshop at its base level, the program is slow, the AI tool is just everywhere for every single decision or mistake you make. So in less than a decade, it's become the forefront of creation, and if that doesn't scare you, it should. The next two examples of cutting corners, specifically two games, will be Arc Raiders and Where Winds Meet. These two have had plenty of success lately. They're both fantastic in their own respective ways. What they both use AI for, though, specifically, is AI voices for their characters. Now, Ark uses it only for the player character, and as far as I'm aware, this only got a little bit of heat and backlash back when it came to light last autumn, but it was slightly forgiven, considering the NPCs have voice actors, but if I'm wrong on this, and it is AI, please correct me in the comments. I would hate to be wrong on it. However, Where Winds Meet is full of AI voices. I played around in January this year with some friends. While the story had something in its voices, it lacked the depth and emotion you would normally get from a game. And this is when things can get bad. When games start to eliminate the human actors, the game doesn't feel as good, you lose immersion, and most importantly, you just don't care. Which is an issue because not only do you have artistic talent with your artwork, you lose the human element of your characters. I'm yet to encounter a game that does both of these, and I dread the day that ever becomes a reality. It's not like games can't have artificial intelligence in it, it's that it just shouldn't be used in specific places. When you've played Ark Raiders enough, you really don't tend to notice the AI voices after adjusting to it, but it doesn't escape the fact that it's still there. Yes, it's a tool, but if it affects the game in any way that the player identifies it, then it really shouldn't be used. I don't agree with its usage within gaming as a whole, but if it has a purpose, then let it do some of the lifting. But when it's heavy and it's in most of the developmental process, then it shouldn't be doing anything whatsoever. I think this really hampers the process. I think this really damages the development of what gaming can really be and do. Because if you eliminate most of what makes the process of creating a game human, then at that point you're not making it for entertainment, you're making it just for the money, which at that point becomes grubby and selfish, and it's not what gaming was made for in the first place. But looking ahead for what comes to gaming, it's a tough thing to do right now. The landscape has changed much in the last few months. We're currently less than 3 months from GTA 6 as of the making of this video, and people are already making a massive thing about it, and it's going to genuinely be generational and quite huge, in my personal opinion. However, there's a lot more coming out of the autumn term as well. Soulframe is going to release a massive update, which is called War Songs, which is coming soon to all of us. There's another talk of players doing an additional comeback for Destiny 2 on September 9th to commemorate the release of the first one, which they're hoping will show Sony the mistake they've made, which I'm beginning to think it's just plain ignorance that they haven't acknowledged what they've done. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But Wolverine is also coming out as well as Enshrouded 1.0, which I do believe is releasing on consoles as well, but I'll have to double check on that information. So we've got a lot happening on the road to Christmas and before the new year kicks in. So there's a lot of games that have a lot of potential to show a lot of good stuff. But the main question is that will they get overshadowed by GTA 6? Most likely, but we'll have to wait and see. But if you had to ask me what my opinion is on will AI ever be a viable source within gaming as an asset or tool, I personally can't say. A lot has changed since the 90s for gaming, and back when that did happen, animation made leaps forward. It wasn't hand drawn cartoons anymore, it was all on the computer. So if AI does something for gaming, we could see the most amazing transformations for what's going to happen for us as players by 2040 maybe, but that's just a really extreme guess. But for now, I'm back off holiday, back for my content, and I've got more videos in the works for you guys. So subscribe if you're interested. But for now, I'd like to thank you all for your time. If you've got any comments making on this subject, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear what everyone thinks about this right now because it's a touchy subject. There's a lot going on with AI. It's good, but it's also extremely harmful to certain processes and industries right now. Because, yes, as a technology, it is unfathomably great, but, and the potential's there, but this can wildly spin out of control if we allow gaming companies to force developers to use AI into the processes and original ways they've been taught to build a video game. Because at the end of the day, gaming is for entertainment. It's not built to experiment, it's not built to try something new, it's built to allow players to enter a world they've never experienced before. But it's down to us as the players to decide whether or not we want it in our games as a permanent asset or to force its exclusion permanently and entirely. But I want to know what you guys think down below. Does AI belong in video games? Is it the rise of something absolutely abominable and evil? Or can it actually improve the development and make things easier? So for now, I'm going to thank you all for your time. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.